to Deep College Thoughts. So to get started for this episode, we're going to start with random questions. I'm going to say the first question. If you could have anyone as your college roommate, who would it be and why?
Like a famous person?
Anybody. Dead, alive? You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Well, we would have to pick a female.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Darn it.
I just now thought about that. We would have to pick a female because that's just how roommate situation works. I would probably pick either Evie Queen, which is a Puerto Rican rap artist, or Young Miko, which is another Puerto Rican rap artist.
And I would choose Tina from Bob's Burgers. I think I could be her roommate. Yeah.
Next question. You want to say the next question?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the most unexpected or interesting thing you've learned in one of your classes so far? I guess what we were learning in Soch, like at the beginning, like the difference between mores, folkways, and taboos.
I would have to, Jesus. I would have to say probably learning the ethics in social work and the ethics that we have to go by when you do become a social worker. It kind of has like a different meaning in codes and stuff like that. Yeah. If you could create a new college tradition, what would it be and how would it bring the student community together? I don't know if I would create a new one, but I feel like the tradition of First Gen Week, you weren't here that week, but I felt like it was very welcoming, especially as a first generation student, like seeing all the support that you can get, being there, talking to people that are also first generation and getting everybody's perspective. It was very welcoming. I just felt like it could have last longer or had different events, like more events than what it did.
One tradition that I would create is maybe having you know how they have like admitted Spartans Day and you go and you do different things? Well, like one that has each major, because I feel like at our school we have a lot of exploratory majors or undecided majors. So if they could showcase like each major and like the main things you'll be doing, like jobs that you could get, then I think that people would benefit from it.
Yeah.
Okay, so how was spring break? What did you do over spring break?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's start by saying that I got sick. So that's why last week there was no episode.
Loki died.
I got really sick.
But she's better now.
Yeah, I'm alive. I'm back. It's very, very happy to be alive. And then spring break happened. So our thing moving forward would be that we will not be recording any podcasts over summer break or over winter break or spring break and things like that, just because we're off of campus. We also do need a break as a student. So we will only be recording while we're here on campus being a student. Just wanted to put that out there so you guys understand. We have 5 more episodes or 4 after this one coming out until our semester ends. And then we'll be back next semester with our new season. So, over spring break, I volunteered at an elementary school for my volunteer hours for my class of Intro to Social Work. I had an amazing time. It was a mixture of emotions, I would say. It was, I don't know how to explain it, but it was very heartbreaking at the same time because of like the social work part of it and like seeing what kids are going through. But it was also very, very eye-opening because I did this and found my passion. Like, I knew I was already passionate about social work, but this kind of like now it's set in stone. Like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life for sure. What else did I do over spring break? I think that was really much it. I volunteered the whole week. So,
Had a pretty busy week.
yeah. What did you do, Caleb? I know what you did.
I went to New York. As many of you know, I work in student support services, and that's a part of the TRIO and McNair program. So the TRIO program took all of the, well, not all of the students, but it was supposed to be 18, but so many people wanted to go, so they widened the range, so it was 32 people to go on a trip to New York, and we visited different graduate schools, and we saw city life. Because despite being in Greensboro, a lot of us did come from small, rural areas. So it was fun. We went to Columbia, and then when we were on our way back from New York, we stopped in Baltimore, and we went to Johns Hopkins, and I really like Johns Hopkins. But yeah, we just stayed in Manhattan, really, while we were in New York.
Yeah, must be nice. Balancing academics. So when you're a student and you have a lot going on with your personal life, your school life,
All the time.
you need to learn how to balance your grades, your classes, your homework, your projects, your essays, all of the above. I feel like the best thing for me, you have to learn, and you will learn throughout living through it. It's not something that, like, I could give you my advice and what I do, but also it may not work for you, so you kind of have to figure it out. And that's just everyone as an individual. But I feel like the most problematic thing would be when your personal life takes over your school life and your future, where you get into the mindset of you don't know what you want to do, or this is too much, I can't handle this, where you just start getting all these negative overthinking thoughts with anxiety and mixture of depression and all these different things, where it takes over and then you start to fall out. Where for me to balance everything, I kind of have to put boundaries and walls up where everybody knows, if you're my friend, if you're my family member, my boyfriend, whatever you are, school comes first. I'm a student before anything else. I say that flat out. You want to be in my life, you need to understand that I might be up late doing homework and I can't go out with you. Like, I'm a student when it comes to anything first. And that's just how I am. That's what works for me. Being a student first is my main thing, because that's basically my future. Like, I'm planning out life, so I'm gonna take it very serious. But yeah, just putting up boundaries, figuring out your personal life versus your school life, and setting, not really rules, but setting goals in a way where what you want to do and become, but also setting rules where what you want to do versus what you need to do versus what you want to do, that way.
I agree, but I can also talk about it from the opposite perspective. So, we have fight or flight, and so a lot of the time, not a lot, most of the time I choose to fly away. So in high school, I'm going back to high school.
We just did come out of high school, so that's really all, like, the background, or first semester.
Yeah.
But that's all the
And
background
I'm going to talk about first semester too. In high school, when I couldn't face my problems, I just didn't go. That was my separating myself from the problem. If I was having an issue, I was like, okay, I just won't go. And that didn't help me. Yeah, I would get my work done. I would procrastinate a lot, but I would eventually get my work done. But it just wasn't helping. And I also had friends who would they would go to school, but instead of being focused on what the teacher was saying or whatever, they would be engaged in something on their phone or watch movies. Go to school the whole day and do nothing but watch movies. And I feel like the same thing happened to me first semester. I'm kind of praying it's not happening again. But the same thing happened to me first semester, like a month and a half before winter break. I packed up and I left. And it was because I was dealing with a lot. Like, I would still come to class, um, but after class, I'd go home. And I just kind of disconnected myself from the whole campus. Um, Now, I was still able to do my schoolwork, but there, my balance wasn't like 50-50. Because I always say, like, yes, schoolwork is important, but you always have to prioritize your mental health. And so sometimes I'd give more time to my mental health than my schoolwork, and sometimes I'd give more time to my schoolwork than my mental health. It is a balancing game, but you have to remember balance isn't always 50-50. It can be 40-60. It can be 75-25. As long as what you're doing is functioning for yourself, and you're managing and you're maintaining, then go for it, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else. The balancing act is hard, especially when it's not just two things that you're dealing with. When it's not just yourself in school. Okay, let's say you have yourself, school, and a job. And let's say you have a kid, you have yourself, school, and your kids. You're married, yourself, school, kids, job, married. Like, it's not always going to be like, I have myself in school. So it is a balancing game. And like Jody said, she can tell you what she does, and I can tell you what I do, but it's not always going to work for you. You really just have to get out here, try and repeat, error, trial and error, and do it.
Yeah. So, community engagement and volunteering. There's a lot of different things you can do on campus to be engaged with the community and volunteer also. Like, for me, I have to get volunteer credits for social work, and that's what I did over spring break. You can do it here on campus, you can do it outside of campus, back at home, wherever you live. That's where I did it. But it's also like a good experience and a good thing to put down on your resume, just because you're getting any type of experience, really, because you don't even have to volunteer for something that you're majoring in.
True.
I just wanted to, because I wanted the experience of a school social worker and a school counselor, so that's what I did. But any type of volunteering or being engaged with your community in any type of way is really good on your resume, especially when you're going through college, just because you're literally in a different kind of headspace, and you're still, like, you're an adult, but you're not fully an adult, because you're still, like, in school in a way, so it's like that complicated mixture.
Yeah.
But I would have to say that volunteering was very eye-opening, and I would say to anybody, like, if you could volunteer in something that you're majoring in, that you're really excited about, go and do it. Like, literally, if it's 10 hours a week just for 1 week. I had to do 25, but I ended up doing 32 because I fell in love with it. So it's all up to you. But I would say be engaged with your community as much as you can, especially because it's going to get you outside of your room and outside of you being by yourself. So less depression, you might still have social anxiety or feel anxious, but it's less self-isolation, where you're going to spread your wings and kind of fly, in a way, is the best way for me to put it.
Sure.
So
I don't do too much volunteering anymore. I used to volunteer like crazy when I was in high school. And I can attest to the fact that it does help you engage with your community. Not only in that, but also networking, like self-gain. So if you volunteer for something, it's normally in an area that you like. So you'll meet other people like, oh, well, I know this guy who's actually this, and this, and this. Like when I was in Maryland, okay, Jody couldn't be there, but the guy we were talking to, he is a social worker, and he has the highest level of degree that you can get. It's not a PhD, because PhD based social work is more research, and he didn't want to do that, but he got the master's degree, and now he's a director at Johns Hopkins. And so I was like, oh, well, my friend, she actually couldn't come on the trip, and then I got his information, I gave it to Johnny. So networking is a big thing, but also you can get jobs and things that'll help you with community engagement. Like, all of it doesn't have to be volunteering. Like me, working in student support services, I help people who come in who have financial needs or who are struggling in classes. I help them find resources. So there are options.
Yeah, there are a lot of different options. I would even say maybe having a job here on campus, like you're still being engaged with your community. So you don't always have to volunteer, but volunteering for me was a big eye-opener, very much.
All right, so our next topic is career planning. Yeah, this is a tough one. Recently, I've really been thinking about what I want to do with my life, and not everybody knows the story, but the important ones do. And I realized that the career that I go into might not make the most money. I'm not saying that it doesn't make a decent amount of money, but it might not make the most money, but it makes me happy. So I think that's the biggest thing for people who go to a more liberal arts school, is because we have science, we have chem, we have biology, we have biochem, we have psychology. And all of that is thrown in your face like, oh, you should do this. STEM makes the most money. So then you're left with the options like history, sociology, music, art, and they're like, oh, well, what's your backup plan? And everyone should have a backup plan, but do you think they ask STEM students what your backup plan is? No, exactly. So
you either make it or you end up working at McDonald's.
Literally. And so in career planning, I think that's one of the hardest things that you have to do. Like, you have to sit down with yourself and say, hey, my career might not make me the most money, but I know that when I wake up every day, I'll be happy and content in what I'm doing. Having said that, planning your career it's pretty much easy once you decided what you want to do with your life. Because if you have experience like Jody, like working in different places, you'll be like, okay, I didn't necessarily like working here, but I know I like working here. So it's easier to plan your career that way.
Yeah. And I feel like that's why I said volunteering, just because you get the experience even though you're not getting paid for it, and you're probably thinking it's a waste of time, but you're getting the experience that not a lot of people would get. And like, once you graduate and you have your degree, like your resume, you're gonna have like all the experience that not a lot of people with your degree would have. So when you go to apply for a job and finally open the door and be in the career that you want to be in, you think more experience and you have a degree versus you took the classes and you have a degree. Like, they're gonna want people that have been in the field, have seen a couple of things, and that have dealt with things, rather than you just read the book, did some papers and assignments, and am I really just gonna throw you out there now, you know?
Sure.
So with career planning, I would have to say that you really have to have an open mind, always have a backup, even if you don't think you're gonna use it.
Even if you're in STEM, have a backup, buddy. But
it's like if you're a football player, a basketball player, like, what if you get injured and you can't do it anymore?
Yeah.
Like, not saying that you're gonna get injured for something, but kind of have that mindset, like, what if this doesn't work out, you know? But also having your options open and not be set on one thing. Like, I know for me, I know I want to do school social work, but I also really want to see what it's like for a juvenile detention center social worker. And I also want to see what it's like for child protective services. So like, I want to keep my options open, and I have so many options with social work, which is why I also love it, because I can hop around and be like, okay, I worked at Child Protective Services for 2 years. Let me hop to school social work for 4 years, and then I can hop back into Child Protective Services. Like, you have so many options that you can do, which is probably why I like that, because I don't like to just sit in one place and do the same thing over and over again. But we also do have a career center here on campus, which I think most campuses do have.
Sure.
And they are willing to walk you through it, to plan with you, especially your last year, your senior year.
And your advisors, they help a lot. But you mentioned like volunteering to have that experience, and not only is that good in your career, like looking out into the job force, but graduate schools, that's really what they're looking for. So if you're trying to get your master's or you're trying to get your PhD, it's good that you were able to sit down, read the material, analyze it, and fill out the paper or write the paper or whatever you have to do. But they want to see, could you take it and apply it to a situation? And I think that you being a social work major, or sometimes people in the healthcare field or people in the teachers, they get discouraged because they're like, oh, I'm learning all of this information. But when they actually start applying it, they're like, okay, so I'm seeing the connections. Like, I learned this in class, I'm seeing this is what that person's experiencing. And I feel like that makes them a lot happier. So if you're not happy with like what you're doing right now, that's okay. Try field experience, because like Jody said, just because you're a social work major doesn't mean that you have to work in like the schools or a juvenile detention center or child protective services. You have options. Just because you're a teacher doesn't mean that you have to work with younger kids. Well, if you only have education for younger kids, but it doesn't mean you just have to work with younger kids or teenagers. I mean, you could be a professor. So there's different outlets.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a big thing that not a lot of people look into, because they think, oh, well, I'm gonna get like 1 degree and that's what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life.
True.
And it's like, you literally have so many different options that you could take if you actually sit down, do the research, talk to your professors, and do so much more. So yeah. Okay, so being homesick.
Real bad.
I don't even know how to start this off. As a person that has always been, so we can say this because we have said it in the past. I used to live in Connecticut, and then I moved to North Carolina when I was nine years old. So basically I was raised in Connecticut like my whole childhood, and then I came to North Carolina. Not gonna say any cities or anything like that because it's nobody's business. But having to move away from a place that is home to you can bring a lot of pain and different emotions. And I've especially over the holidays, being away from my home state, which is Connecticut, I always get homesick. Now, college homesick is a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
'Cause like I live with my parents and my younger sister, so like that's my home. That's where I live. That's where I can be myself, do whatever I want to do. That's my home. Now being like homesick away from family is a different situation, but being on campus, you're gonna be homesick.
Oh, real bad.
You're gonna have days where you literally wake up and you probably don't even know why, but in your head, I want to go home. I want to go home. I don't want to be with you.
Sometimes you will go home.
Well, if you have a car and you live not that far away, you know. But if you do not have a car, or if you're on campus but you live out of state, there's no way that you can just leave for the weekend. You know, you kind of have to
Suck it out.
suck it up and deal with it. FaceTime is always a thing. Texting, calling, FaceTime, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever social media you want to use, it's all there. Use it, take advantage of it. But I would have to say that being homesick is real. It gets you depressed. It gets you in a mood where you don't want to go to class. You don't want to do anything. It is a real thing. It's kind of like senioritis. But kind of worse in a way. And this is like your future. You know, this isn't like high school where like, oh, you know, I'm just getting my degree because you have to go to public education. If not, your parents are going to go to jail.
Sure.
Or you can drop out. You can drop out of college, but like you're paying to go to school. Or if you have a full ride, somebody's paying for you to go to school. Take advantage of it. Go to class. Yeah, you might be homesick. I was homesick on Thursday. I woke up and I was like, I want to go home. I don't want to go to class. I don't want to be here. I literally am over everyone. I didn't want to deal with people that day. I went to my first class, had an amazing time with my professor and my classmates. I was like, okay, I can deal with this now. We can work with it. But there's times where you really just want to pick up your stuff and leave.
And there are times when I pick up my stuff and leave because I can't take it anymore. But in all seriousness, it's so funny because me and Jay, we were talking about.
I was like,
how...
do you want to say his name? Nobody knows.
We were talking about how when we were in high school, we were like, man, forget this town. Like, can't stand it here. We're leaving. We're getting out. And now, anytime we get a slight break, we're like, let's just go home. And you know how far away he is. But, yeah, being homesick is a beast. It literally eats away at you, especially, like, if you're close with your family. Like, my entire life has just been me and my mom. Like, yeah, I have my dad, but, like, it's me and my mom in the house. And so, like, sometimes I'm like, man, I miss my mom. What is she doing without me? Like, she really living her life without me. So,
I feel like I have the opposite. Like, my mom calls me. She be like, what are you doing? I'm like, Mom, I just got out of class. Or I hang up with her, because I call her every morning. And I hang up with her. She'll be like, call me before you go to class. I'm like, okay. Like, I leave your house. I'm a grown adult, and I still got to call this woman.
But it's just crazy. Like, homesick, it's real. But I'm learning how to manage it somewhat. Because I don't know. I'm trying to tell myself it's a part of growing up. Like, obviously, I'm not always going to be in the same house as my mom, my parents, or whoever you stay with. Like, it's a part of growing up. And I think that the time that I do spend up here, I have a good time. So, similar to Jody, like, if I'm having a bad day and I'm like, oh, I really just need to go home, sometimes I do go home. But a lot of the times, I figure it out. I'm like, you know what? It's going to be okay. Go to your class, go to work, and you're going to survive. And normally, once I make it through the first class, I'm like, oh, that wasn't bad. You can do this. And then I spend the rest of the day in the library. So, yeah.
It's also kind of what we were talking about earlier, where, like, we kind of always had, like, I don't know how to explain it, but, like, we've always been home. So, like, that's all we know.
True.
So, like, it's like, now that we're growing, it's like, you know?
Literally.
But it's also like, I tell my mom all the time, I'm like, what are you going to do without me? Like, I'm going to grow up one day. I am growing up. But, like, I'm going to move out as in growing up. And what are you going to do without me? And she goes, I'm going to call you every single day. And that's exactly what she does.
Yeah, better pick up. She's paying that phone bill.
Yep, sure is. I love you, Mom.
All right, college sports and athletics. Well, first of all,
so
baby,
we can't really say much about this, but so college sports and athletics. We can't really say much. We have never been to any type of basketball, soccer, baseball. What other sports are there? Golf.
We ain't got that here.
Yes, there is.
We do.
Yes. I only know because the chancellor came to my door. You remember that time the chancellor knocked on the door? He seen my Puerto Rican flag outside my door, and he goes, "Yeah, we just recruited a Puerto Rican to play golf at the school."
You know what? That's funny because where you live is literally where the golf course is. What they call the golf course.
Exactly. I don't think they have games there. I think that's just where they practice.
Yeah, there are two types of sports. There are the sports that you play for the school, and then there's the intramural sports, which are basically clubs, and some of them are legit. Like
Esports.
we have a whole esports arena, guys. That's the thing. I've never been in there. I'm too afraid.
You've never been in there?
I've never been in there.
Okay, we
I'm
should-
not going in there.
Why not?
I'm scared.
You want to play Mario Kart on the
I
Nintendo Switch?
don't know how to play no games.
Not even board games?
Yes, I know how to play board
Oh,
games.
okay.
They ain't got
Just
board
not
games
like
there.
video games.
Yeah, no.
So you never owned like a Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox.
Yeah. Just
DS.
Dance. You like Just Dance?
Yeah, I love Just Dance.
I'm not playing Just Dance in front of all the people.
Okay, you know what? Over the summer, when I get my money up, I'm gonna buy a Nintendo Switch,
Oh.
and then next semester we gonna play Just Dance.
Okay, do that.
Okay. What were we talking about?
We're doing sports, guys. We're doing
Oh yeah.
sports.
So we really can't say much, but it is a thing, and you get scholarships for it.
If you get recruited, some people are D1. That's what they be saying. Whatever that
We
means.
are a D1 school.
What is D1? That means we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the D stand for.
No.
Division 1, right?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I guess.
So I think that's the
Alright,
top division, right?
Unless they have a Division 0, but
I don't think
I
that
don't think
exists.
it-
Anyways, you can't really quote us. If you know,
But do sports. That's
Yeah.
good for you. Your mental health, your physical health.
emotional health.
Yes. Sports. Cultural diversity. So we used to be a PWI, which is a predominantly white institution, but now we are a MSI, fronting as a PWI or whatever. Anyways, now we're categorized as a MSI, minority serving institution, which is good. Because I do think that we have a lot of minority students here. Here on our campus, it's very diverse. Like, you see a range of different ethnic groups. You know, even when it comes to people with disabilities, we have a wide range of disabled students who go to school here. And
yeah.
not just physical, but like also mental disability. So I like that aspect of our campus because we are very diverse.
I would have to say there's a lot of Hispanics and Black people on our campus, and all different backgrounds. Especially with the Hispanic sororities.
Yeah.
That's a big thing here on campus. So I would just say, I mean, there's really nothing much to say. I think you summed it up all.
And we also have like I wouldn't call them festival. I guess like events, like celebrating cultural diversity. Like we had Fatima on the show and she talked about one of the events that she was in, and then we had
yeah, because you have like the K-pop dance that she did. We had Night of Independence, starting off expanding heritage.
We had something for Black History.
Yeah.
It's Women's History Month. They're gonna start that soon.
Yeah.
Well, they're having an event next weekend, I think.
I feel like it's also like a good learning thing because you learn from different people's backgrounds and things like that.
True.
And I also I feel like when you learn from somebody else that has a different culture, different race, different ethnicity from you, and they're telling their story or what they have been through, or just learning about their culture or whatever background they have, you learn a lot. And then, like, you can go and take that and do whatever you want to do with it, but it's also, like, a learning experience. So, yeah. Game time. Kayla, come on.
All right, debate club. Online learning versus traditional education.
You don't have to read the whole thing.
So, yeah, let's talk about it. Online learning versus traditional education. I think that when it's consensual online learning, meaning we're not forced into it by a pandemic.
You know, you could have just said COVID.
By a pandemic.
COVID. You know, 10th grade, 9th grade year.
It could be okay because I took, like I said, my first semester of college, I took mainly online classes, and although I didn't have the connection with the professors that I wanted, it was okay, and like I was okay in doing my schoolwork. Like I didn't feel like, oh, I have no other option, I'm being forced to do this because I signed up for it. Obviously, when you force somebody into doing something that they weren't originally supposed to do, they're going to push back because that wasn't the original plan. Now, there are benefits to both. I like traditional education, being in the classroom, because you have that connection with people. And I don't know, I just feel like I learn better when I'm in the classroom. Online is good, but I feel like there are more negatives. Like it's easier to cheat, and you know, this generation has a problem with cheating, and I think it was COVID. Like the cheating rates were crazy. So I don't know. They have pros and they have cons. Online learning is good because you know what if you have to be somewhere, then you just do the assignment ahead and you're fine. But what are your thoughts?
I hate online learning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't.
I literally hate online learning. And I think it's because of COVID. It's literally because of COVID.
Wait, can we talk about that? I mean, like, I don't understand how anybody could hate online learning. Like, what do you hate? Like, you hate having your own deadlines? Like, you hate... What are you hating?
I hate Zooms. I hate...
Okay, but listen. It's not even Zoom. You don't even get on Zoom.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, everything about online learning, you know? Not library due days.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. I got an email. So over COVID, you know, I hated Zooms, and I hated that we had to have our camera and mic on.
Okay, so they were just mistreating y'all. They didn't do
Yeah,
anything
I still have a loud household. You know my mom. Yeah. But also, like, the assignments. Like, I'm the type of person where I just want to be lectured in person, where I can ask somebody questions. They're right in front of me. I don't have to be emailing and then waiting for an email back. Like, I want it right then and there. I'm very controlling when it comes to that. But also just having the whole, like, because there is due dates, so you can't really do everything. Like, you can move ahead, which I guess is a good thing.
Right, unless one of the downsides is a lot of them keep stuff locked.
Not bio.
Oh, okay.
You just have to move, like, in order. Like, you have to complete the thing before to then move on to the next thing. But it's just not for me. I'm more of a hands-on learner. I have to be in person, have to be doing things, asking questions. I don't like the emailing and waiting for a response back. I don't like having quizzes online. I have test anxiety. So when you have an online course, most of the things are quizzes or exams, and that gives me stress, that gives me anxiety. I break down, I hyperventilate, I cry, I literally have a whole panic attack. So that's why online is not for me.
So I think our experiences have been different. I mean, when I was in high school, I had deadlines, like, obviously.
Yeah.
Deadlines and stuff. But my first semester of college, I didn't have any deadlines, which can throw you off, or it can be your biggest triumph. One thing I will say about online learning is that they have more assignments, and I think it's because they're like, oh, you're online. Like, I feel like some professors who teach online ed don't realize, like,
We have 5 to 6 other classes.
yeah, we have a life outside of what we're doing. So there are more classes, well, not more classes, but more assignments within a class when you take the class online. Traditional education, it's always, I don't know. I like traditional ed, but I also like online. Now, I feel like if I had to do one for the rest of my life, it'd be traditional ed, because online learning just, it's not as engaging, and that's one of the purposes of school. You need that socialization. You need that engagement from your peers.
I feel like also with online, like, you just don't care. Like, you're just getting it done just to get it done.
Yeah.
Where, like, there's no purpose. You feel like you're just a
doing
number.
assignments.
Yeah. So it's like.
But if you're really passionate about it, I guess. Like, there were some classes last semester I was like, oh, I really like this.
Not me. Yeah. I'm telling you, COVID really messed me up.
I believe it.
I was literally online end of freshman year when everything went down, and all of my sophomore year. Yeah, I didn't do that hybrid learning. My mama said, nope, you locked up in the house.
I did, because I couldn't take it anymore. I'm not gonna lie. I could not take it anymore. I was like, yep, if I have to do this more day, I don't know if I'm gonna make it.
See, my mama was scared. I got asthma.
No, that makes sense. And I had to get all my vaccinations before.
I have all my vaccines. Well, there's a 4th one now, but I have 3.
Well, there's 55 of them now. I can't keep up. I don't know.
No, I'm talking about like the numbers.
Yeah.
There's
That's
4.
what I'm saying. I don't know.
There's only 4.
There
Caleb.
could be 37. We don't know.
There's only 4.
I don't know. I'm telling you, I don't know.
There's only 4.
Anytime I go to the doctor, they're like, "Do you want the shot?" I take it. So
you're pro-vaccination?
I didn't know we were getting political. Yes,
Okay. I mean, you didn't have to answer. You could have pleaded the 5th.
I just take it because I'm not trying to die. But in that same breath, maybe I shouldn't take it because I'm not trying to die.
Well, it's like the flu, you know.
I haven't gotten the flu in a really long time.
Isn't flu season over?
I don't know. Flu season is never over.
Yes, it is.
You can get the flu at any time. You ever had the flu in the summer?
No.
That's the worst, because it's hot and you can't breathe. And on top of you not being able to breathe, you couldn't breathe anyway because we live in the South and it's humid here.
On top of that, I got asthma. I can't breathe regardless.
Well.
So.
Anyway, go get your flu shot. Or don't, I don't know. Don't.
It's up to you.
Go get your flu
You
shot,
have a
please.
choice. Oh, okay.
Please.
Listen, Michaela. What's next? Anyways, I picked this quote so we can actually dive in deep and have a conversation about it, because I feel like this conversation needs to be said.
Yeah.
So the quote of the day is, "You are more than a GPA." You want me to go first? Since
I'll go first.
Oh, okay.
Are you more than a GPA? Yes. You are. And I feel like in high school it's so easy for people to get caught up, and they're like, oh, my GPA has to be this and my GPA has to be that. And I mean, I guess your high school classes are easier. But once you get to college and you're trying to balance like class and social life, and you have all these exams and projects, and you have a job, and what if you're married and you have kids, then your grades might start to slip. But as long as you're putting like your best into your assignments, you're like, oh, this is like, because sometimes, you know, when you sit down and you do an assignment and you're BSing it. But if you sit down and you give an assignment your all, and you're like, hey, I gave it my all and this is still the grade that I got, then maybe look into tutoring, or maybe read the feedback. I know a lot of times reading the feedback helps, but don't let it discourage you. I mean, I put my all into an assignment one time and I got a 0. So, yeah.
What I wanted to talk about was kind of a little different in a way.
Oh, never mind. I retract my further statement. You are tied to your GPA, and if your GPA sucks, so do you. Thank you.
Okay. I kind of wanted to talk about how, here on campus, they're,
I'm sorry.
I don't know what's the word. Discontinuing, I guess. Canceling
Budget
courses.
cuts?
Well, also, like, they're getting rid of courses, but
Oh yeah, they're cutting the curriculum.
yeah.
Yeah, parts of the curriculum.
And, when things like that happen, you kind of feel like you're just a number on campus. You kind of feel like your voice isn't being heard. You're just a number to these people that are dealing with money, budgets, how many students go here, what race, ethnicity you are. You just feel like you're a number. And I feel like when we think about GPA, we think about, if you don't have a high GPA, like, you're just not smart.
True.
Where that's not really the case, because in high school, did I have a high GPA? No.
Oh. I'm sorry.
No. Did I pass? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I graduate with a high GPA? Yeah, because I finally got my life together after COVID, COVID really, really messed everything up. But, I kind of wanted to say that, like, you're more than a number, and, like, if you have a problem with people seeing you as a number or as a GPA or just as nothing, like, speak up, let something be heard, because you're not a number. You're not just a GPA. You're not just another person here on campus.
True.
Like, you actually matter. I know I don't know how many students are on campus.
10? Okay.
Too many to count.
Yeah.
But, like, there's so many of us on campus where you're not gonna be, I guess nobody's gonna be well known.
Yeah, it's not like in high school where you're like, oh, those are the blah, blah, blah. Like, no, nobody, unless you're that person, like, there are some people on campus where I'm like, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah.
But, like, unless you're one of those people.
One of those people.
Yeah, those people. That doesn't mean that you peaked, though, because a lot of people will get to college and they're like, oh, my name isn't well known, blah, 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 I peaked. That doesn't mean that you peaked in high school just because, your name isn't as well known on campus anymore. It just means that your priorities have shifted. And also, you can't always be the best at everything. Like, get it out of your mind that you're going to be the best at everything, because you're not. It's just not something that's going to happen. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I also feel like just don't think negatively about it. Like, you're more than just a number. You're more than your GPA. Throughout high school, I finished my freshman year with COVID with a 2.8. My whole 10th grade year, it stayed at 2.8. It did not move. It did not change. My junior year, I went up to a 3.2, and my senior year, I graduated with a 3.5. So it is possible to, like, change your perspective and do better in classes, but I feel like in college, since you're going for something that you're passionate about, you're gonna do better, But like Kayla said, like, if you do start to slip up and notice that, okay, I'm not doing that well, like, I need to fix it, there is tutoring, and it's free. Like, you don't have to pay. There's resources at the library. Like, make as much use out of it. Like, you're either paying to go here or somebody's paying for you to go here. Take advantage of it. So now for the song of the day. Kayla, what's your song of the day?
That's a good question. My song of the day is Creep by Radiohead because it was my most listened to song in 2023, and I have a feeling it's going to be my most listened to song in 2024. Thank you, Radiohead, for bringing us the greatest song of all time.
Okay, I got my song.
Go.
It's Bad Bunny, of course.
I didn't even say anything.
But that look said it all.
I don't even,
That look said it all.
I don't even know what you're talking
Okay,
about.
Peso Pumbaa.
Guys, listen.
Did
Peso
you get
Pluma
tickets?
how much are Peso Pluma tickets though?
I don't know.
They're only $90.
Okay. You know he just hung out with Drake yesterday?
I don't care nothing about that.
And they were hugging it up and
don't-
everything?
See, Drake is sassy. Drake is sassy. Guys, I have beef with Drake. Don't at me. I just do. I have beef with Drake.
Anyways. Los Pits by Bad Bunny. He's on tour, guys. Am I gonna go? I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe my brother takes me. Maybe my mom takes me.
Okay. Well, that's been this week's episode of Deep College Thoughts.
Don't miss out on all the fun, laughter, and wisdom. Subscribe to Deep College Thoughts on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at Deep College Thoughts. Follow us on TikTok at Deep College Thoughts. And
follow our personal socials.
yes.
Bye.
Bye.